Hello. Hi, everyone. You might have been expecting Mario and I to be doing our show tonight, but we are not doing our show tonight. But instead, I'm here, and I'm here to answer all of your Batman questions, all your Kickstarter questions. I figured we got 11 days to go, and you guys might have some questions. And I'm like, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity. Let me get some light on here. Ow! We got, yeah. This is a. Oh, that background is not working with me, is it? What's happening here? Well, we'll just do that. That works. Anyway, this is a snowy background, and I've got a very non-snowy shirt going on here. Anyway, I'm here to answer all your questions tonight. I'm going to go through some of the, hi there to everyone watching. Tonight I'm going to go through some common questions that I've been getting about this project I'm working on. If you think of something you want me to talk about, if you have a question, please just put it in the comments and I will gladly answer it. Okay? This is your chance to find out everything. I'm just going to go through a list of things in my mind that I know I get asked pretty much almost every day, for sure every week, but I'm getting asked almost every day. Question number one: if you decide to support, oh no, before I even do that, question number one: what are you doing? What are you doing, Phil? I get asked that question a lot. The answer to what I'm doing is, look, here's like the skinny, okay? A project was presented to me, okay? It was present. Hi, Chris Trotter. Hi, Megan Clementi. A project was presented to me. The question was posed, and the question was, Phil, would you be interested in directing a film about Batman the Animated Series and one of its primary directors, Kevin Altieri? Would you be interested in directing that film? That's the question that was posed to me late last year. And I said, are you nuts? Of course I want to do that. That's exactly what I want to do. Here's where things get a little bit dicey. And I know there's been a lot of questions about it, so I'm just going to explain it to you. Hi, Stevie. So I was selected to be the director. That does not mean that I am getting like a paycheck necessarily. It does not mean that I'm like making a ton of money and I'm going to go off to Aruba. That's not what's happening here. For all intents and purposes, I'm making a film. The film is not for sale, so we're not going to be making money off the film. Any money that comes in is going to support the acts of production. What that means is that if you were going to be hiring a contractor or somebody to come in and clean your windows or replace your refrigerator, that takes money to do those things. So there is money that is going to those services. But there's not like a profiting thing here. This is not a profit scheming thing. The goal is to make a film that everyone will enjoy for free. Okay, just I'm letting you know that up front. There's a lot of questions about that. I get asked, is there going to be a Blu-ray, a DVD? And if you know me personally, you know I love physical media and I love supporting media. The problem here is, because I get a lot of questions about this, why aren't you doing a DVD, Phil? Why aren't you doing a Blu-ray? Well, the reason is I don't own any of the Batman stuff. It's not my property. I can't sell something I don't own. I would get in trouble for doing this. So, do I think that there's a potential that there could be a Blu-ray down the road? Yeah, maybe. But it would have to be something that I sent the film off to Warner Brothers and got their approval. I have to get their approval. I can't just go and do things like that. So I understand the disappointment I've been hearing from people when they say, I really wish people have been emailing me. They're like, well, if you had a Blu-ray or a DVD option, I'd be supporting you. And I'm like, that's unfortunate because I don't have the power to do that. It's not a choice that I'm making. It's my hands are tied, literally, about this. So the reason why there's a Kickstarter, why do you see me talking about Kickstarter? Well, because there is a production budget. And a production budget is the movie needed just to make the film happen. It's not so that we're trying to raise $10,000, not so we can sit and pocket $10,000. That's the money it's going to take to over the course of the next 3 months to produce a film. That's what that money goes to. And that's it. Like once that money is done, then it's done. We're not going to be like, now we're going to play it in theaters and make money that way. Like that's not what's happening here. So there's 11 days left. Now here's why I'm doing this video also tonight. I just got done interviewing executive producer and writer Tom Ruegger. He's like an amazing man. You may know him from creating the Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain. I just got done interviewing him. It was a wonderful interview. He's a wealth of knowledge. And so the film I'm already making it. The problem is the funding isn't finished yet. So I really want to keep making this movie. I need that to happen. And what I was hoping would happen would be like tons of people putting in like little bits of support. Obviously, I want you to put more than a little bit in, but my expectation was lots of people putting in a little bit and it would add up. The reverse happened. There's been like 58 people supporting the film, and a lot of them have put in a lot more than $3. I didn't expect that to happen. So first of all, thank you. Thank you to those 58 people who have already done that. Like, I am blown away by your generosity. Some of those people didn't even select a reward. Some people just went ahead and threw money at it. And I mean, thank you so much for that. I would encourage you to think of it this way. When the film is free, when it comes out eventually, you know, what's that worth? What's that experience worth to you? It's going to be a feature-length film. That means at least 45 minutes long, probably longer. I think new movies go for a lot more than that. When you go to the theater or you rent it online, it costs way more than $3 to rent a movie. So just think of it like a rental cost. If you're willing to put up $3 to $5 or more to rent the movie when it comes out in April, that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm not asking for anything crazy here. But again, this is the production budget. This is not so I can go and buy a new car. And besides, we're asking for $10,000. It isn't like a new car is going to be in the $10,000 range anyway. Let me get to some of your comments. Some of you are watching live right now, and I definitely want to interact with you. And then if I forget to say something that is a burning question, anything about this film, please ask me right now, because I want to address like everything here. There were just I'll tell you one more thing. One of the questions I was getting was, are you going to have more voice actors? I would love to have more voice actors, but you have to understand, people have different schedules. There's scheduling conflicts. There's other things that go into it that I don't want to go into here. Let's just say I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying. The list of people that you see involved in the film, that can change. People can have something come up and then they can't do it anymore. But the other thing can happen too, where maybe after the Kickstarter's over, I get more people to be in it after the fact. So just remember that, like, the people you're seeing listed on the Kickstarter page, that list is subject to change. I hope it'll get a lot bigger, and that's what I'm working on. But one of the things that's going to help it get bigger is A, the film getting funded, and B, the production going, really well, and people behind the scenes saying, hey, this went really well, you should probably do this. So I'm in the process of building that right now, and that takes time. So I'm sorry that I don't have everybody on the show listed there. I'm gonna try to get as many people from the original series as I can. I promise I'm gonna do my best to do that. Okay. Now I can't go too overboard because then not everybody gets enough time to say anything. But I am going to try to make it robust. And the other question I'm going to put up here, people have been asking, why are you making this film when a year and a half ago there was a really great documentary that came out called The Heart of Batman? Well, The Heart of Batman, and it is great, I'm not knocking it, it was made in-house. And in-house it means it was made at Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers like allowed it. They like wanted it to happen. So what I'm doing is not in-house, okay? Just for the record, I'm not an employee of Warner Brothers. So what's great about that documentary, what they did, is it's very clean and polished, and there's a lot of great artwork, so you should definitely watch it. But I will also say that there's a lot of personal stories that were left out. I'm not trying to say anything mean about anybody. Whatever. For whatever reason, those stories were left out. I don't know why. My goal in making this film is to tell you guys the stories that have been left out. So when people online say, why are you making this documentary? We already have one. My answer is, you haven't seen this yet. I promise you, this is stuff you have not seen yet. I'm not rehashing the stuff that they've been promoting over the years. I'm trying to get new information from the people who made the show. And I'm succeeding so far. I'm getting new information. It's really exciting. So all that's missing right now is the production budget. This is why I've been harping on this. So anything you guys can do, if you can share the page with somebody, if you can chip in a few dollars, if you've already chipped in a few dollars and you're willing to put in $3 more, whatever, bug your parents, but whatever, do anything you can. Anyway, let me go ahead now and read some of your comments. Let's see. Fun question from Shaggy on YouTube. He says, what Batman the Animated Series hero and villain do you identify with the most? It's a really good question. Identify is a weird thing to say because, a lot of the villains are pretty screwed up. So I've always identified with Batman. I feel like I know what it's like to have something hurt you so bad that you want to make it right. I feel like I know what that feels like. So I've always identified with Batman as far as heroes go. As far as villains go, maybe the ventriloquist, just because I really was fascinated by the idea of feeling like you have two different personas inside of you. Not like I'm a split personality, but I mean the idea that you've got completely separate people inside of you, and they're just like opposites. And maybe that's because I'm a Gemini. It could be something to do with that. But I was always fascinated by that idea, and just I always felt very touched when Arnold Wesker, who is the name of the bad guy, who is the ventriloquist, whenever his ventriloquist dummy would get destroyed, he would just like fall to his knees, and it was just a heartbreaking thing. I've always kind of felt for him. I grew up with like lots of stuffed animals, and so I don't know, like I could respect that relationship between like, human and inanimate object, and being really hurt if you lost that. So that was always kind of I kind of felt kinship to him on that. Not that I'm a gangster. Anthony DePaula asks, hey Phil, I was thinking after this documentary, how about doing one for Animaniacs? Anthony, that's a great question, and I'm totally open to it. I'm sure Tom Ruger would be thrilled to talk about Animaniacs some more. I really shouldn't say that because I would have to ask him first. But I know he loves Animaniacs, and so I can't imagine him not wanting to talk about it, is what I'm trying to say. I would love to. My next project after this is going to depend a lot on whether or not this one gets funded. Because if this one doesn't, I don't know if you guys know this, Kickstarter is all or nothing. So I've had people ask me all week and last week also, hey Phil, I see that you're almost up at like the halfway mark. You got about $5,000 in Kickstarter. If it doesn't get funded all the way, do you still get the $5,000 at least? The answer is no. So if you put a pledge up right now, you don't actually get rid of it. You're not spending any money right now. You're just pledging. A pledge is a promise. It's you saying, I promise on Valentine's Day when the campaign is over, assuming the goal of 10,000 is hit, I will put in this much money. But if you do it right now, you're not putting any money into it. It's just a promise. So the way Kickstarter works is it's just adding up all the promises of all these people. And then at the end of the campaign, assuming the goal is met, then everybody gets charged that amount. But if the goal isn't met, nobody gets charged anything. And the promise is just over. So if you're wondering if you should do it now or wait till payday, do it now, because A, you're not putting any real money into it. And B, by doing it now, other people who go and look at the campaign are going to be like, wow, like it's going up, it's going up. And that just encourages people to jump in. So if you really want to help, I would say do it now so that you encourage other people to help also. But that's a great question, Anthony. I would love to do a documentary about Animaniacs. It's one of my favorite cartoons of all time. I would love to do it. So I'll let you know if it happens. I'll let you know. Shaggy says, I had to go with the Killer Croc level because he's my favorite villain. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Killer Croc's a great villain. I don't think he gets enough love, and I'm really glad that you backed Andy. Thank you so much for doing that. Or not Andy, sorry, Shaggy, I should say. Shaggy. Let's see. We got Britt in the house. Britt says, there's nothing wrong with having multiple documentaries about the same subject. Thank you, Britt. I appreciate that. I thought the same thing too, but you'd be surprised how many people will go out of their way to say, I thought there already was a documentary. Why is there another documentary? And I get it. It came out like a year and a half ago, so it seems very, very recent. But again, this is going to be touching on subjects that really weren't covered in that other documentary, at least not to the extent that they could have been. Amanda Elizondo says, I'm so excited. I need to donate. Yes, please do. And remember, if you do it right now, no money leaves your account. No money leaves anybody's account until Valentine's Day, midnight. And it only happens if we hit 10,000. If we don't hit 10,000, no one gets charged anything. Okay? I'm just trying to reiterate that because I get asked that question all the time. All the time. Andy says, sure, Shaggy. I keep calling you Andy. Sorry. Shaggy says, so would you consider this documentary a spiritual successor to Heart of Batman or more of a sister project to Heart of Batman? It's a really good. What's the difference? I guess. I would say it's maybe a sister project, maybe, because it's imagine if you watched Harry Potter, right? And you said, I know everything about Harry Potter. I watched the movie. And someone else said to you, well, did you read the book? Because there's a lot more there. And they're like, I didn't know there was a book. And then they go and read the book and they're like, wow, there's like so much more going on. That's kind of how I think about this. Like one of them kind of gave you the overall feeling and vibe of what was happening. And then the other one has a lot more details that didn't fit in the movie. That's kind of what I'm going for here. Does that make sense at all? Tell me if that makes sense, because I'm not sure if I answered your question. Amanda says, should I watch Batman the Animated Series? Yes, you should. I'm so glad you asked that question, because as of last month, January of 2021, it became streaming on HBO Max. So if you're an HBO Max subscriber, you just can watch Batman the Animated Series now. And if you're not an HBO Max subscriber, go ahead and sign up and start watching Batman the Animated Series. The movie that I'm making, we're going to be referencing specific episodes, and I'm going to be, showing little clips here and there and talking about things in more detail. So I think you would probably appreciate the documentary more if you did see the actual series. Plus, it's one of the greatest cartoons ever made. That's the reason why this documentary is happening. The whole point is, and I was never involved with the animated series. I claim no credit to Batman the Animated Series. I'm just a fan who happens to be a filmmaker who happened to be invited to be making a film. This was not something that I was like cooking up in my secret lab and waiting for my chance to do it. This came to me and I accepted it. And the reason I said yes is because I'm such a fan of the original show, you guys. I got to meet Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, up at Dallas when they had their fan expo a couple years ago, and I got him to sign a picture of Batman from the animated series, and it says "To Phil" from Kevin, and it's like I love that I have that now. It's like really special to me. I have this big bust. You may have seen it. I've taken pictures of it. This big bust of Batman. It's like an 18-inch tall bust, and I got it when I was in high school. My school, we took a class trip to New York City, and we went to the now defunct Warner Brothers studio store. And I think it was like $50, and I spent $50 on this bust, and I had to carry it in my lap on the bus all the way back to Cleveland. And I still have it to this day, and it's here in my apartment. It's one of my most prized possessions. I love this thing. He watches over me as I sleep at night. It's wonderful. It's very special to me. So just know that somebody who loves this series is the person making the movie, of the documentary movie. So it's coming from a place of extreme affection. So there you go. And let's see what else we got here. Britt says, what would you say is your most favorite episode from Batman the Animated Series? That is a real good question, and it's a tough question because there's like a lot of episodes that I love, a lot. I will name a few because I don't want to name one. I really love Harlequinade. That one's fantastic. I love Feet of Clay. Two-Face is fantastic. Heart of Ice is just wonderful. There's so many good ones, and I just named 4 of them, and some of those were 2-parters, so I cheated. Amanda says, I'm so ridiculously proud of you. Thank you, Amanda. That means quite a lot to me. Thank you. She says, I'm starting it soon. Good. Go watch Batman the Animated Series. I agree. Shaggy says, did you choose the date to end the campaign as February 14th because of your mad love for Batman the Animated Series? I see what you did there. Mad Love is a story that was written as a comic book by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm. They worked together to make that comic, and then it became an episode of the animated series in the 4th season. It's a wonderful episode, really great. It shows you the backstory of Harley Quinn, how she became who she was, how her relationship to the Joker formed. It's a great episode. And I chose Valentine's Day because I think it's important that we have milestones to remember things. And what's funny, I didn't realize I did this, but the Kickstarter campaign I did last year started on Valentine's Day. And this one's ending on Valentine's Day. I didn't plan it that way. I forgot about the one from last year. I didn't realize when I did it. And then I got reminded by Facebook reminders like yesterday. And I opened my phone and it was like, it showed me a post from last year talking about Valentine's Day being the beginning of the campaign. And I was like, well, that's kind of amazing. So fun fact for you guys. Dale Herbest. Hey, Dale. So glad to have you here. You're one of my pals from the Cartoon Research Group. Will there be any discussion or section about the new Batman adventures? Probably. We'll talk about that. I know there are some mixed opinions about the new Batman adventures because that's when the art style was redesigned, and not everybody likes it. So I'll probably have something in there about it. I'm going to do my absolute level best to do what I always do with Stay Tuned, which is tell the truth, but don't tear anybody down in the process, which can be challenging. So just know that I'm going to do my best to get everything in there, but it's going to be tricky with some topics. Why? I'm going to ask myself a question you didn't ask me. Why is it called Stay Tuned Presents? Well, it's called Stay Tuned Presents because I do this podcast series called Stay Tuned. Stay Tuned is an interview series where I talk with people who are in the animation profession, and we go behind the scenes with animation. So it makes sense to me to because this film is basically an extension of what I do in the podcast. So why not? The difference is I'm not going to be in the movie. You're not going to see me interviewing anybody. It's all about them. I'm the one like asking the questions behind the scenes, but you're not going to see me or hear me. But it's called Stay Tuned Presents. My goal, my master plan for future stuff is that Stay Tuned Presents will become a series of documentaries. So it would be, this one is Stay Tuned Presents Batman the Animated Series. The next one could be Stay Tuned Presents Animaniacs, or Stay Tuned Presents Thundercats. So yes, I would love to go and keep making films. Do I want to keep doing Kickstarters? Probably not. Because they're really stressful. I'm very stressed right now. But it's fine. It's fine. And unless you guys change your mind and you're like, Phil, I want you to do the next one, and I want Animaniacs to be another Kickstarter, maybe I'll do another one. But I'm gonna need some serious love and support from the fan community telling me they want me to do it again before I do it again, because I only have so much hair, and I don't want it to all go gray by the time I'm 40. So let's see what we got here. Chris Trotter. Hey, Chris says, any chance you're going to interview Mark Hamill? I'm trying. Mark Hamill is not an easy gentleman to get a hold of. I'm trying. I have been asking people who know him, and the answer is that I get from them is Mark's hard to get hold of. A hold of. That's the answer I'm given. I'm going to keep trying. My goal is if I get enough people recorded and I edit it together, and I've got like a really good list of people and they're all in there, that I can then present something to him and go, look, everything's filmed and done. I just want to add you in there. I think maybe I'll have a chance. I don't know. I'm hoping. I'm working on it. So just know that I'm working on it. Okay. I'm not ignoring the voice actors. So don't worry. Let's see. Britt wants to know, what episode gave you the most chills or hit you the most? Mine was Mad Love. It's a really good question too. There were some really creepy, disturbing moments that I will, like I said, I mentioned the ventriloquist. I think when I think it's the first appearance for him. I think it's one of the first appearances. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I'm forgetting the name now. The name of the episode. It might be part of the New Batman Adventures. I'm pretty sure it is. And he's trying to reform himself. Arnold Wesker is trying to reform himself. And somebody out there is dressing up as a ventriloquist dummy and making him think, because he has a split personality. So he's worked really hard at repressing his split personality. And somebody goes out there and they dress up as the ventriloquist dummy, Scarface. And they start chasing him around and calling him on the phone, and just messing with him. And the poor man just wants to move on. It's actually really sad. And that story like really touched me. I'm like, this poor man is trying to reform himself, and somebody out there is trying to bring him back in because they know that Scarface is locked up in his brain somewhere, and Scarface is a criminal mastermind. So they're like, we got to get ventriloquist to snap so he can bring back his alter ego or side ego or however you want to look at it. That to me was it was chilling because it was dark, and it was just really sad. I don't know. I mean, that's not what you asked me, but that's I'll never forget that. So let's see. Britt says Mad Love for me, and the episode of the child star that struggled with dwarfism. Baby Doll. You're referring to Baby Doll. Yes, it is Baby Doll. So okay, very good choice. Shaggy says, since New Batman Adventures will be touched on, will Justice League Unlimited and Batman Beyond be touched on as well? In the interviews I've already conducted so far for this film, they have been mentioned, but we don't go into detail. And I kind of don't want to go into detail too much. And the reason I don't want to go into detail too much is A, Batman the Animated Series doesn't like it deserves a film all to its own. We don't have to go off into other tangents. But B, if I don't do a lot with those other properties, I could always go and do a documentary later about them. I'm trying to keep my doors open for stuff down the line. So would I love to do a Justice League Unlimited or Justice League just in general documentary? Yeah, I absolutely would love to do that. Yes. Dominique Anderson, hey. Shaggy says, what about Ron Perlman? He was the best Clayface ever. He was, and I have been reaching out to Ron Perlman through his management, and I'm kind of hitting some brick walls, not to coin a phrase, but struggling to make that happen. So I'm trying. It's difficult because I'm coming at it from as an outsider. So I'm going to keep trying, and I think once the film is further in production, it might make it easier. But it helps when you can afford to pay people to be in your film. And because this is a non-profit film and it's a documentary with interviews, people aren't getting paid. So you have to remember that. People have livelihoods and they're not getting paid. So I'm asking people to give me some of their time for free so I can make a film and put it out for free. It's a lot of free stuff. So when we're asking you to help build a production budget, like, it's just so we can get the film made. I'm literally, the purpose of the money, okay, is so that I can be like put on the job, and I can be doing like nothing. Well, maybe not nothing else, but I can be fully focused for the next few months, exclusively my 9 to 5, so to speak, on this film. That's what the goal is for me to get put to work. Okay, so I'm not asking you guys to support the Kickstarter so I can sit back and relax. Like, as soon as the Kickstarter gets funded, I have to get back to work and start doing more interviews. I've got 2 interviews done so far. One of them was today. Anyway, Britt says, Mark Hamill is using his Jedi mind tricks on people. That's why he's hard to get a hold of. Yeah. I got nothing to say to that. Sure. Shaggy says, were there any villains you wished would have made it into the cartoon into the cartoon, like Signal Man, Hugo Strange, Catman, or Kite Man? Well, first of all, Shaggy, Hugo Strange is in the animated series, so I can't wish that because it already happened. Now, if there was a chance to put in a villain that hasn't been in there that I'd like to see animated, Professor Pig comes to mind. Victor Zsasz comes to mind. I think Victor Zsasz would have been great. Some of this stuff is very dark. Some of the villains from Batman are like really dark. So it makes it difficult to bring them into the animated series, because when you do a show like that, you have to keep up with what's called standards and practices. And basically what that means is you can't show people dying. You can't show excessive use of violence. That's the reason why a lot of cartoons, you'll see people shooting out like lasers instead of bullets, or you'll see them fighting against like robots and monsters instead of people. It has to do with violence in television. So a character like Victor Zsasz is really hard to put into a cartoon, because I don't know if you know Victor Zsasz, not you, Shaggy, but anybody watching this. Victor Zsasz is a murderer, and every time he kills somebody, he takes a razor blade and like marks up his arm like a bunch of like hash marks, and he keeps track on his body, and he creates a scar, a hash mark scar for every person that he's killed, and he's covered in scars. It's a terrifying character if you stop and think about it. How on earth would that ever work in the animated series? I don't know. But would that be cool? Yes, it would. And Shaggy says, what? When did Hugo Strange show up? I clearly missed it. He was in there possibly twice. And I think one of the episodes was called like The Strange Case of Bruce Wayne, or so, I think his name, I think Strange is in the name of the episode. So forgive me if I'm wrong about that, but I know he was in the cartoon once. He was probably in there twice, but I know for sure once. Britt says, will there be behind the scenes artwork in this documentary as well? That's the goal. I am inviting the people that are in the film to provide me with any images they have of behind the scenes artwork. That would include storyboards. That would include maybe pictures of scripts. That would include maybe photographs, old photographs from working around the office at Warner Brothers Animation. So I'm working on all of that. I'm definitely collecting those things. And the more of that I get, the more that I'll be able to put in. So what makes this such a challenging project is I am relying on the support of people. And what I mean by that is, yes, I'm directing it. Yes, I'm editing it. Yes, I'm contacting the people who are in the film and being the liaison for that. Yes, I'm doing a lot of the promotion. Yes, I'm essentially writing it. So it's a lot of things that I'm doing, but here's what I'm not doing. I'm not appearing in the film. I'm not involved with the animated series that way. So I have to rely on those folks to kind of help me out. I'm not independently wealthy, so I can't fund this project, which is why there's a Kickstarter. Otherwise I would have thrown up 10 grand and just said, yeah, let's just do it. So I know it looks like there's still a lot more to go on the Kickstarter. I promise you, though, if everybody just chipped in like $3 to $5, this would be over with like overnight. It really would be. It doesn't have to be large amounts. If you want to do a larger amount, then I'm so grateful. Absolutely. I thank you guys so much. But I'm trying to like drive the point home. What we're looking for, what I think would work really well, would be a lot of people doing a little bit, which I think is completely reasonable. We got 11 days, folks. Maybe 10 days. Well, we'll say 10 days. Britt says, I think Batman the Animated Series had gotten away with showing a little bit of blood on the show. Don't quote me on that, though. Yes, it did. In fact, the pilot episode On Leather Wings, which was the first appearance of Man-Bat in the show, Batman gets pretty beat up by the end of the episode, and there is a shot of him with the police light hitting him in the face, and he's got blood coming down his face. Yes, there was blood. Was there a lot of blood? No, it was cut back. That is one of the things we talk about in the documentary. We talk all about standards and practices and what was allowed and what wasn't allowed and what had to be cut out and what was okay in its place, and how sometimes that made it more horrifying than the original suggestion, all kinds of stuff. Shaggy says, what? Phil, you aren't independently wealthy like Bruce Wayne? No. If I were, I would probably be a crime fighter. Probably wouldn't be a crime fighter. I'm pretty pudgy below the chest area. There's no room for a crime fighter that has not been working out. So no, I'm not independently wealthy. I don't have the ability to fund things on my own. So that's why I'm asking. You need to understand, folks, I hate asking for help and I hate asking for money. Those are two things that I hate. And guess what? This project has forced me to do both, which if I'm doing that, you should know it's because it's important. Why do I think it's important? You may be wondering what matters about all of this. The answer is, this is such an important series. When Batman the Animated Series came out, it set the bar for animated programming, for superhero content, so many things. And when we have something like that in popular culture, it deserves to be celebrated. Unfortunately, the parts that get celebrated the most typically are not the writers and not the directors and not the producers and not the composers. It's all those people that get forgotten about. And the whole point of this film is to say, these people matter. They absolutely matter. Their work matters, and we want to honor them and the work that they did. And let's give them some credit for this stuff. it to me it doesn't make any sense that everybody will know the characters and the episodes and stuff, but they won't know who's behind it. It's kind of crazy, right? Because if you watch a live action movie and Will Ferrell is in it, you know that Will Ferrell is in it, right? So it's like he immediately gets the credit. But when you're behind the scenes and you're drawing a character and the character is Batman, Batman gets the credit, which is great, but Batman didn't draw himself. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Chris Trotter asks, if only we had some kind of show we could watch and come up with a plan or heist to come up with some money or some money. Chris, was that a question or are you making a joke? Or the plan is Kickstarter. If you're wondering where to go, if you're like watching this thing right now and you're like, Phil, I get it. Where do I go? Go to Kickstarter.com and search Batman. That's it. It's super easy. Kickstarter.com, search Batman. You will find the project there. And if you don't find it, you can private message me and I will give you a direct link. There are some amazing rewards up there. Some of them are limited. One of the limited rewards, if you are feeling extraordinarily generous, is you can watch the film before it is released to the general public in a private screening, private viewing, and Kevin Altieri and myself will watch it with you, and we'll talk with you and whatever. We'll watch it all together, and you can ask questions and all that stuff. That's an amazing reward. Who wouldn't want to have like a private screening with one of the main directors from the animated series, and B, I'll be tagging along, and you can hear me say some silly stuff. No, I'm kidding. I'll be serious. I promise. Another reward, if you go to like the $500 tier, is you get to be part of the Kickstarter producers. There's going to be a section in the credits, in the end credits, thanking the Kickstarter producers. You'll get your name on screen, and you'll be thanked as one of the producers. Currently, only a few people have done that. And the reason why I made that goal so high of a cost, why would I do it for like $25? Everybody would then be a producer. And then you got this big wall of names on your screen. No one's going to read all of that, right? I want you guys to be recognized for going above and beyond the call of duty. So that's why that tier is $500. Now, are there tiers cheaper than that? Yeah, there totally are. And there are some great rewards there too. And I am just as thankful for any amount that you do. It doesn't have to be $500. But if you want to have your name in the credits, that's how you do it, folks. Britt says, what do you mean Batman didn't draw himself? He's Batman. Well, if he could have drawn himself, I imagine he would. But somehow I don't think he's doing that. Shaggy says, heist. Chris Trotter, I'm going to message you about some stuff. Did I read that correctly? Britt says or asks, will there be any discussions on possible lost episodes that didn't make it past the scripts or storyboards? Oh, Britt, are you in my brain today? The interview that I just finished recording with Tom Ruegger, he brought up a script that I knew nothing about. And, that music was like timed really perfectly. And he told me on camera about this episode that would have been amazing. And unfortunately, the powers that be were nervous about it, that it would be too intense. And so it got stopped. It did not get made. And he talks about that in the interview. And I'm absolutely going to put that in the film. See, this is what I'm saying. You're going to get to know all these cool secrets. What's been great for me while I'm doing the interviews, I don't know what people are going to tell me. And they tell me things that are new to me. And so I'm sitting there like going like this because I'm recording them talking. I don't want to be talking and interrupt them. So I'm sitting here like wanting to scream at the top of my fanboy lungs when I hear stuff like this. And I can't. I'm just sitting there like this. And then when they finally finish talking, I go, are you serious? And then I get all fanboy. And then I try to go, excuse me, I'm very professional, and I get back to being professional. Shaggy says, Phil, why didn't you go into voice acting? Oh, that's very nice of you to ask. Shaggy, here's the thing about that. I tried. I took some classes here in Austin. I produced a demo. I actually have a profile on voices.com. If you go to voices.com and you search my name, you will find me, and you'll find my demos. So people technically can hire me. They can. But the voice acting industry is incredibly competitive. And unfortunately, in the city I live in, there's not a lot of room for it. So it just never happened. I do have an acting agent. I'm not doing a lot of acting these days, but I do have a commercial acting agent. And unfortunately, none of the opportunities came my way. So it's not by choice that I'm not doing voice acting, Andy. It's because the world chose for me. So there you go. That's the reason why. Shaggy says, a script was too intense? Stares intensively. Yes, it was too intense. Anthony DePaula asks, what got you into the documentary making game? That's a great question. Anthony, so last year, I animated a really short cartoon, like it's just under a minute. And it's based on my own comic books. If you didn't know this, I'm an artist myself, an artist and writer myself. I have a series called Retail Sunshine that I do. And I made a short cartoon, but I felt like when I was done with it, I'm like, I don't really want to put out a less than 1 minute cartoon on the internet. That seems like, not that it doesn't stand on its own, it does, but I felt like the journey getting there was a really good story. And I tend to go after other people's stories for Stay Tuned. Nobody ever goes after my story. So I was like, well, who better than to tell my story than me? Because nobody else is asking me to do it, so I might as well. So I made a 10-minute short documentary that is currently submitted to a bunch of film festivals. And it's called Sparking Sunshine. And if you haven't seen Sparking Sunshine, you can watch it for free on either Amazon Prime Video or YouTube. It is 10 minutes long, roughly 10 minutes and some change, and it explains how Retail Sunshine evolved. And that documentary was seen by the producer who brought me on to this Batman film. He saw me do that, and he said, you just did a documentary short, and you succeeded with it. How would you like to do a documentary feature? That's how I got offered this job. This job that I'm not really getting paid for. I'm getting paid for it a teeny bit, but I'm not like paying the rent with it, if you know what I mean. So the point is that the person producing saw the documentary short. They knew about Stay Tuned, and they said, I think you could do a feature film. Would you be interested? And I said, yes. And then we went from there. And then we said, well, how, we got to figure out a way to raise the money to do this. What are we going to do? And Kickstarter was the best answer. Films get funded in a number of ways. Sometimes they have private, independent companies that will back them, right? I don't have that, but my hope in the future is this Batman documentary, if it does well enough, I'm hoping I can show it to Warner Brothers and they will go, wow, this is really great. Can we buy this from you? Or can we just take it away from you, not pay you anything? But maybe we want to do something with it, put it on HBO Max or something. And then B, can we hire you to do another one? And this time, we'll give you a budget. You don't have to go to Kickstarter. That's kind of what I'm hoping will happen. If it doesn't happen, I don't know what happens after this. To be perfectly honest, I don't know what happens after this. So I will tell you, this is a fun little side note, that I want to make a longer than 1 minute Retail Sunshine cartoon. And I want to do it all by myself, hand-drawn, just like I did the other one. It'll probably take me forever, but I want to do it. And I just finished writing a script. I'm about to start doing the storyboards. So that's something I want to do. But as far as documentaries go, I don't know what's next. I really don't know. I guess if you're curious and you want to know what I'm doing next, keep following me here. Or if you go to philmaki.com, there's a little news button at the top, and you can sign up for my newsletter for free. And every once in a while, I send out a newsletter and tell everybody what I'm working on. So if you want to keep up with what I'm doing there, you can do that. You can also go to Patreon, patreon.com/philmaki. And you can follow me there, and that's free. You can follow me for free on Patreon. If you decide you want to like throw some money my way, you can do that too. That's a great way to support me there. But that's the best way to follow me and find out what I'm doing next. So hopefully that answered your question, Anthony. Britt says, I have a friend who's an incredible voice actor, and he struggled a lot trying to get into the voice acting industry. Yeah, it's like darn near impossible. And I'm not saying that I give up easily or I don't want to do difficult things. It's just I'm already doing things that are difficult, but the things that I'm doing right now, I kind of have a bit of a foothold in them. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to be like, forget all that progress I made. Let's go be a voice actor. That doesn't make any sense. I don't want to be a voice actor bad enough to throw everything else I've been doing away in exchange for that, if that makes sense. I would much rather be creating films or drawing comics or animating cartoons. That's where my passion lies. And if you think about it, all of those things are kind of related. They're all a kind of filmmaking. So that's where my passion is, and that's where I'll be continuing to go forward from here. Shaggy says, voice acting is incredibly competitive. Like Mark is out there shooting people and crippling them to keep the competition down. I don't think Mark is doing that. Pretty sure he's not. But yes, Mark Hamill is definitely a voice actor, and he does very well. I do want to give a little plug. Mark Hamill actually did a voice acting thing recently with Tom Ruegger. Tom Ruegger made made a book, and the book is all about wearing a face mask and why it's important in times of COVID. And Mark Hamill narrated it. I just found out about this today because when I did my interview with Tom, he told me about it. I just didn't know about it. So if you go to Tom Ruegger's Facebook page, it's right there on his Facebook page. You just got to scroll down a little bit. Click on the YouTube link. And he wrote this really charming story, kind of in the style of Dr. Seuss. Kind of like a green eggs and ham feeling story. All about wearing a face mask. And Mark Hamill did the narration. There you go. Oh, you were making a Killing Joke reference. Yes, there you go. There you go. Good call. Well, what an amazing 53 minutes we've had. I'm going to be winding things down here, but we still have a few minutes left. If you have any questions, put them in the comments right now. Ask me your burning questions, and I'll give you some cooled off answers. So just to recap, while I'm waiting for you guys to type anything else in there, Batman film is already under production, happening right now as we speak. The Kickstarter fundraiser that is raising the production budget needs help now. So what I'm asking you to do, if you can't put any money in, and if you can, I mean, put in like a few bucks, like it's like buying a couple candy bars. If you can. And I know it seems like that's not a lot of help. It is if everybody does it. But what I wanted to tell you was the other way you can help is share. Share the Kickstarter with someone personally. Send them a private message and say, I don't know if you knew this, but my buddy Phil is working on this really cool project. I want to see it happen. He wants to see it happen. We all want to see it happen. So let's help this Kickstarter get funded. Because guys, so far 58 people said they want to have this happen bad enough that they put money in. I really want it to happen now also for them. I don't want them to not have a film. They're all expecting a film now. So let's not let them down either. We want there to be a movie by the end of this project. That's the goal, is to get a movie. The success will be when you get to push play on YouTube and you're watching the documentary. You can go, I helped that get funded. I helped that get funded. And you can, feel good about yourself. There you go. Anthony DePaula says, if you ever made an Animaniacs documentary, have the reboot included too. P.S. Funded and sharing your project. Anthony, thank you so much for both funding and for sharing. I'm genuinely grateful. Thank you so much. I wouldn't be asking if I didn't think it was important. It really is important. That's the point. It's an important animated series. It's an important documentary, and all of it's important. And all the people that made the animated series are important, and they deserve to get some time in the spotlight too. I would include the reboot of Animaniacs if I did a documentary. I did watch the reboot. I do have some strong opinions about it, but I would probably not share those opinions in a documentary because it would not be about me. So, Britt says, who's your biggest character crush? Oh, in Batman the Animated Series, who's my crush? Gosh, well, look, all of the females in Batman the Animated Series were just really wonderful characters. They're all wonderful in their own way. Harley Quinn is adorable. She's just easy to care about. Catwoman's pretty wonderful as well, but that's hard. If I had to pick, maybe Catwoman, probably Catwoman. But I think I had a thing for Poison Ivy at one point. Pretty sure I did. Poison Ivy's got like a lot of appeal. I think part of it comes from the fact that she's manipulative. That's not appealing. But the fact that like part of her manipulation is chemically induced lipstick, and that the way to apply it to somebody is by like making out with them. Like, that's kind of hard not to be attracted to, I think. Shaggy says, 53 minutes. Are you the Clock King? I see what you did there. Not the Clock King, but I try to keep things to an hour if I can. Shaggy asks, if, Alfred forbid, the Kickstarter doesn't happen, would there be any possibility of a grant to pay for production? Or could you get a grant while working on it to get more money? Maybe. There are grants for filmmakers here in Austin. The problem with that is like the time it takes to go and fill those out and wait. Maybe. I was thinking about it today, and I may reach out to some local Austin companies and tell them that they can get their name in the credits too. I don't want to do that, but I'm thinking about doing it. I would much rather this be fan supported. I would much rather it be all the fans rallied together and we're like, yes, we want to watch this film. Please go and make this film. So that's what I'm hoping for. If the Kickstarter doesn't get funded, no promises on what's going to happen. I don't know that the film will happen. It would be very unfortunate because I've already started recording and editing. But there are reasons why I wouldn't be able to keep working on it if it doesn't get funded. And I don't want to go into them here. Just know that it would be very difficult for me to do it. It'd be very, very difficult. So the timeline would be thrown completely off. My current goal is to make the film and have it out by April 17th, which is International Bat Appreciation Day. I'm not lying. That's a real thing. So my goal is that if it didn't get funded on Kickstarter, and let's assume I was still going to make the film, production would get pushed way back. Like maybe this year, but maybe not. It would be that kind of a thing. It would be like, I'll work on it when I can. So this is very important. Anthony DePaula says, Harley Quinn for me. Wait. I do that right? Yeah, Harley Quinn's very attractive. I would have to agree with you, Anthony. You have excellent taste. Britt says, for me, it was Dick Grayson / Robin / Nightwing. Loved his confidence, attitude, and laid-back personality. Yeah, I think Nightwing, when he becomes Nightwing especially, I think the character of Dick Grayson became a very appealing character. I could see why someone would be attracted to him. Absolutely. He's he's easier to like than Batman. He's not a jerk. You know what I mean? And there's that real fun episode. What's it called? Was it called like Scratch My Back, or what was that one called? I don't remember what it's called. But anyway, it was in the new Batman Adventures, and Nightwing was working with Catwoman. I always loved that one because there's a little bit of cat and mouse play between them, and it's exciting because you're like, oh, at one point she was flirting with Batman, and now she's going after Dick Grayson. Like, dang girl. So I always thought that was a lot of fun, personally. Anyway, we've hit an hour. We're at an hour. My throat is sore. I got to go get something to drink. Thank you for watching. Please share this video, and please support the Kickstarter. Please don't make me wait to the last couple days. I would like to sleep like correctly for the next week. I lose sleep when things don't go well. So please help me sleep. Anthony DePaula says, speaking of comics, have you ever read Happy, or have you seen the sci-fi series based on it? We're trying to save it for season 3. By the way, if you can please spread the word. Save Happy. I don't know about it. I think I've heard of it, but I've never read it, and I've never seen the show on Sci-Fi. So probably because I don't have Sci-Fi. I don't pay for cable anymore. But I appreciate the recommendation, and I appreciate you trying to save the series. That's great. Thank you for the recommendation. I didn't know about it. Britt says, Catwoman is my favorite female character on the show, and Clayface was my favorite villain. Britt, you have excellent choice, because Clayface is one of my, we'll say, top 3. I can't even say top 3. Yes, he's top 3. Clayface is top 3. I would say Clayface, Joker. Oh man, it's gonna be a toss-up between like Ventriloquist and who else do I love? I love all the villains so much. I don't know. It's tough. Mr. Freeze is pretty great. Mr. Freeze is pretty great. Oh, Scarecrow. I mean, I'm a huge Scarecrow fan. Oh my gosh. I loved his redesign, by the way. I think that was, out of all the characters they redesigned for season 4, that is, to me, the most successful redesign that they did. It was a reinvention of the character, and it made him scary. It made him really scary, and it was a drawing. It was a scary drawing. He became like a hangman with a skull face. Oh my gosh! And the voice. I'm forgetting the voice actor right now, but he was such a creepy voice, and he just kind of like whispered. Oh my gosh, what an amazing character! Anyway, final thoughts. Go watch Batman on HBO Max. Support the show as much as you can. Support this Kickstarter. Share it with your friends and family. And what else? I don't know. Keep hanging out with me here on social media. And thank you for your questions and comments tonight. I'm going to go get some dinner. You guys have a great night. Thanks for watching.